Picture this, a dusty, worn photo album heavy in your hands. Its leatherette cover is cracked at the spine. The pages make a soft crinkling sound as you turn them, revealing faded prints held in place by yellowing plastic film. Each one is a tangible echo of a past you can touch, a ghost in paper and chemicals. Now picture this, the cool, smooth glass of a smartphone screen. Your thumb moves in a blur, scrolling through a vibrant, endless feed of perfectly filtered, impossibly perfect memories. A birthday party, a sunset, a brunch. They flow past one after another, pixels in a river of moments. Once we kept our memories in albums on a shelf. Today they live in an invisible, boundless place we call the cloud. The journey between these two worlds isn't just about technology. It's about how we remember what we value and who we become when we tell the story of our lives. How did we get from tangible prints to ephemeral pixels? And what did we gain and lose along the way? Welcome to GENSHIFT. If you've ever felt the magic of holding an old photo print, hit that like button. And if your entire life is backed up on Google Photos, you should definitely subscribe. Today we're exploring the evolving art of capturing memories. Capture devices from precious clicks to endless snaps. The story of how we remember begins with the tool we use to capture the moment. For the better part of a century, that tool was the film camera. A millennial parent. I was showing my daughter my dad's old camera the other day, an old Pentax. It felt substantial, heavy. I tried to explain it to her. See this little lever you had to advance the film after every single shot? And this little window, I said, pointing to the counter, tells you how many you have left. You started with 36, and when you hit 0, that was it. You were done. Every click was a decision, a commitment. You had to think about the light, the composition, and the moment, because each shot costs money. You couldn't just delete it and try again. There was a real fear of wasting a shot, of messing up that one chance to capture your little brother blowing out his birthday candles. And then the wait. You'd take the roll of film to a store, hand it over, and come back days later. That moment of tearing open the envelope to see the glossy prints for the first time. It was pure magic, or sometimes pure disappointment. GENSHIFT child 36. That's it. That's like one good selfie session. I just don't get it. If I see something cool, I take 100 pictures of it. Burst mode, live photo. My phone's AI literally tells me which one is the top pick. Why would you ever limit yourself? What if someone blinked? What if the first one was blurry? It just sounds stressful. My camera roll has, 10,000 photos on it right now. 36 is nothing. The chasm between these two experiences was carved by technology. The film camera was a marvel of mechanics and chemistry, but the digital revolution, which began simmering with the invention of the CCD sensor in 1969, fundamentally changed the game. Consumer digital cameras, first appearing in the mid-1990s, eliminated film. But the true turning point was the 2007 launch of the iPhone. Suddenly, a high-quality camera wasn't a separate device you had to remember to bring. It was just there, always in your pocket. The technology raced forward. Smartphone makers integrated multiple lenses and, most importantly, developed computational photography. This is the AI-powered magic that lets a tiny phone lens create images that rival professional cameras, automatically fixing colors, reducing blur, and even creating artistic effects. The result? The standalone camera market collapsed. Shipments fell a staggering 94% from their peak in 2010 to 2023 because for most of us, the best camera became the one we already had. This shift from mechanical limits to computational boundlessness redefined what we deemed worthy of a photograph. The precious, deliberate click was replaced by a constant, almost unconscious stream of documentation. We went from being careful archivists of a few key moments to relentless chroniclers of everything. Photo quantity and imperfection, scarcity's value versus the digital deluge. This explosion in quantity had a profound and often paradoxical effect on the value we place on a single memory. Millennial parent. We have maybe 3 or 4 photo albums from my entire childhood, a few hundred prints in total, and I know every single one of them. There's one of me on my first bike. It's blurry, my eyes are half closed, and my dad's thumb is in the corner. By today's standards, it's a terrible photo. You'd delete it instantly, but to me it's priceless. It's one of the only pictures I have of that day. We loved our photos because they were imperfect and because they were rare. Their scarcity made them sacred. GENSHIFT child. I have 10,000 photos on my phone, but I honestly couldn't tell you what most of them are. They just accumulate. It's like a digital junk drawer. I'll take a bunch of pictures on a night out with friends, post one to my story, and then never look at the rest again. They just get buried in the camera roll. Sometimes I'll be scrolling way back and find a picture and have zero memory of taking it. It's hard for one photo to feel special when it's surrounded by thousands of others that look almost exactly the same. This is the paradox of abundance. We are capturing more memories than any generation in history, but we may be cherishing them less. Psychologists have a name for part of this phenomenon, the photo-taking impairment effect. Research by Dr. Linda Henkel found that the act of taking a photo can signal to our brain that it doesn't need to work to remember the experience. We outsource the memory to our device, and in doing so, we can weaken our own internal recall of the event. This is compounded by what's known as digital amnesia, our growing reliance on technology to store information we once held in our heads. The sheer volume creates cognitive overload. When you have one photo of your first day of school, it becomes an anchor for a whole network of memories, feelings, and stories. When you have 500, they can blur into a meaningless digital haze. A millennial parent might pull out a single faded, imperfect Polaroid from a family vacation and be able to recall the smell of the sunscreen and the sound of the waves. It's a powerful memory cue precisely because of its rarity. Meanwhile, a Gen Z child might scroll past a dozen technically perfect, beautifully filtered, but ultimately forgotten photos from their trip last summer. More captured, but less retained. The value shifted from the memory itself to the potential of a perfect post, an image that lives for a moment online and then fades into the digital abyss. Storage and preservation, from albums to the cloud. Of course, it's not just how we take photos that's changed, but where we keep them. The physical shoebox has been replaced by the intangible cloud. Millennial parent. Organizing photos used to be a project, a whole ritual. We'd get the prints back from the store, and my mom would buy these big sticky albums. We'd spend an afternoon carefully peeling back the plastic film, arranging the photos, and writing little captions by hand with a special pen. Summer at the Lake, 98. Sarah's 5th birthday. The albums were objects. They had weight. They had a smell, that faint scent of old paper and adhesive. And my mom, she had shoeboxes full of negatives just in case. The idea was that these were our family archives to be passed down. You could hold them. Gen Z child, an album. Like a physical book. I mean, my grandma has those. My photos just go to the cloud. Google Photos, iCloud, and my Instagram saves. I don't even think about it. It's automatic. It's safer, right? A house can burn down and a flood can ruin a shoebox. But the cloud is forever. I can search for any photo I've ever taken. Beach, August 2023. And boom, there they are. But it is kind of a weird thought. My whole life, all my memories are stored on some server in a giant building I'll never see. What happens if the internet just stops, or if I forget my password? The child's question hints at a new kind of digital fragility. The move to cloud storage was driven by undeniable convenience and the explosion of data. By 2025, it's projected that over 100 zettabytes of data will be stored in the cloud. That's 100 trillion gigabytes. Personal cloud users have more than doubled in the last decade, from 1.1 billion in 2014 to an estimated 2.3 billion today. This system, powered by companies like Amazon, Google, and Apple, offers seamless automated backups, protecting our memories from physical disaster. But it introduces new vulnerabilities. We've traded the risk of a house fire for a reliance on corporate stability, password integrity, and the continued existence of the platforms that hold our history. The physical labor of organizing an album has been replaced by the effortless searchability of AI. But in gaining convenience, we may have lost a crucial element of connection. The family ritual of gathering around an album, of touching the past and telling its stories, has been replaced by the solitary act of scrolling or the impersonal sharing of a Google Drive link. The archive is safer but more distant. We've explored the magic of both tangible albums and endless digital feeds. But which method truly makes a memory feel real to you? Do you prefer the feel of an old print in your hand or the instant access of a screen? Drop A for albums or A for cloud in the comments and tell us why. Sharing an audience from living room reveals to global feeds. This distance is felt most acutely in how we share our memories. The audience has shifted from the living room couch to the entire world. The millennial parent. When my parents came back from a trip, showing the photos was an event. They'd invite people over specifically for it. Come see our vacation pictures. And you'd all sit together as they passed the album around. Each person would look at each photo, ask questions. Where was this taken? Who is that? Sharing was an intimate, in-person act. It was a performance for a small, captive audience of people you cared about. The feedback wasn't a like, it was a laugh or a gasp or a shared story. Gen Z child sharing is just automatic. I snap a picture, maybe add a filter or some text, and it's on my Instagram story in seconds. Hundreds of people see it instantly. My main feed is my curated self for everyone to see. My close friend's story is for my inner circle. My Finsta is for jokes. I have different audiences for different versions of me. The feedback is instant too. You post, and then you watch the likes and comments roll in. It's just how you let people know what you're doing. It's how you stay connected. The shift from the living room to the global feed was driven by the architecture of social media. Platforms like Instagram, which now sees a majority of young adults as daily users, are designed for instant widespread dissemination. This has fundamentally rewired the sociology of sharing. The goal is no longer just to share a memory, but to elicit a response validation connection status. Research into online photo sharing reveals motivations that go far beyond simple archiving. We share to showcase experiences, to connect with others, and to express our identity. This creates a powerful feedback loop. The instant gratification of likes and comments encourages more sharing, which in turn fuels social comparison and, for some, performance anxiety. A 2022 Pew Research survey found that nearly a third of teens feel pressure to post content that will get lots of engagement. The intimate joy of a grandparent lingering over a single printed photo has been replaced by the anxious, fleeting dopamine hit of refreshing a feed, watching the metrics of our own life story tick upward. The value of memory, rare prints versus ephemeral pixels. All of these changes in our devices, our habits, and our audiences bring us to the ultimate question: how has the very value of a memory changed? Millennial parent. Because they were physical and rare, old photos felt like artifacts. They were proof. Evidence that this moment happened, that this person existed. They felt permanent. You held them and you felt the weight of the past. There's a gravity to them that a file on a hard drive just doesn't have. Gen Z child. I think a picture can be meaningful for like 24 hours. A story is meant to be ephemeral. It's about sharing what's happening right now. But does that make it less of a memory? I don't know. Sometimes I worry that my kids won't find anything to find in the attic. Their whole childhood will be in my iCloud account, locked behind a password they don't know. Will they ever have that magic moment of discovering a box of old forgotten photos? Or will their history just be a data file that gets corrupted or lost in a server migration? The digital age has untethered the memory from the object. A photograph is no longer a thing, but a piece of data infinitely replicable, easily shareable, but also weightless and strangely fragile. While a print can fade, a digital file can vanish without a trace. This has led to a fascinating cultural counter-movement, largely driven by Gen Z. This is the generation leading a revival in film photography and printing physical photos. 43% of Gen Z report printing their photos regularly, a rate double that of other generations. Leica, a classic film camera brand, saw a 900% increase in film camera sales between 2015 and 2023. They are creating their own tangible artifacts, seeking the permanence and authenticity that feels absent in the endless scroll. They are making zines, putting Polaroids on their walls, and creating their own albums. It's a recognition that while a digital file can be a perfect copy, a physical print is a unique original. It bears the marks of time. It exists in the real world. Conclusion. From the delicate rustle of a photo album page to the silent swipe across a glass screen, the vessel for our memories has been completely transformed. The technology has shifted from chemical to computational, from scarce to abundant, from private to public. But the why remains the same. The innate human desire to hold on to a fleeting moment, to fight against the tide of forgetting, to tell the story of who we were and who we are and who we hope to become. The tools will continue to evolve. Perhaps one day, our memories will be immersive, searchable VR experiences captured by AI-powered glasses that see everything we see. But the act of remembering, of cherishing those moments that define us, will always be the most human thing we do. So whether it's a faded print taped to your fridge or a meticulously organized digital album in the cloud, remember this: the technology is just the container. The memory itself is the treasure. If this journey through memory lane resonated with you, hit like and subscribe to GENSHIFT. And tell us in the comments, what's the oldest memory you have stored and what format is it? In a print, a slide JPEG file on an old hard drive. Share your memory's format below. And don't forget to tag a friend who still drafts captions like it's a college essay or who has 100,000 photos on their phone.